to this computer. Okay, off we go. Today is Monday, the 12th of October, 2020, and the start of term 4. So what I thought I'd do is I talk for about 10 minutes about the Moodle page. Forgive me not looking at you, but I'm looking at my screen. And then I'm sure I would love to have a dialogue, so this better not be a monologue. Okay, in fact, let me start with a dialogue. You'll notice I've got 2 photos here of aircraft, and maybe this is a riddle. I'm not sure whether it's a riddle. It's a question. So why on earth have I got 2 photographs of aircraft? Talk me through on this particular Moodle page. You must have thought about it. I bet you've been scheming. Come on. What's Tim up to?
You have to have a dream. You have to have a dream, Dr. Jim. One day we will fly again.
Yes, that's good. Excellent. Come on, there's more. Yes, we will. Actually, this was done before this stupid grounding of aircraft. And I hope there are a few planes left in the world to fly again. They haven't all been mothballed or taken for scrap.
Well, the first photo looks like they're actually military style planes. So
Tamara, this is good.
Sure.
This is good.
Because the first one looks like my pop and my uncle are both big into planes. So the bottom one looks like it's it could hold just like anyone. Although judging by the shininess, I'm going to say it's either new or it doesn't hold everyone. It looks like it could hold just specific people. And the top one seems like it's their military issues where they load up a lot of supplies and do the drops and stuff.
Wonderful.
But I'm assuming the snow linking the two has more to do with it than the planes themselves.
Oh, no. I think, Tamara, I love your way of thinking. The snow is incidental. I just happen to love photos with snow on. And I think they make for great photos because of the contrast. But it also has some method in my madness. Now, anyone else before I give a bit of a spout? Andrew, go.
Well, for me, it looks like you've got a whole bunch of planes, but they're all at a distance. They're very foggy, so it's hard to see what it's like. The other one is a very good close-up of a shiny new plane. It's very focused, very clear, if you like. So I believe it's what you intended for this course. It's at the moment, everything is foggy, but we are going to drive in closely and have a look and have a reflection of what that brilliant looking plane is all about.
Love it. That's pretty good. Anyone else want to have a dip in there? Oh, good morning, Tamara's friend.
Oh, this is Pip. Sorry. She's a bit of a sook at the moment. I don't know why.
Pip. Welcome, Pip. Okay, look, I think at the beginning of this course, the first little while, you might be a little bit foggy. You might not be able to see too clearly. And I'm hoping that very soon life will be clearer. But moving away from just the course, think about your move to become teachers. I suspect many of you, if not all of you, start through a bit of a fog. And you'll notice that they're turboprop planes, and they're not spinning. They're grounded. And yet they're built for a purpose. That's what they're built for, but they're not teaching yet, but they're ready to teach. And they've got all that they need. They're all lined up, ready to go, but they're not going yet. And the bottom picture, you'll see the runway is clear. The plane is dead on course. The amount of heat coming out of it is immense. And we're off. We've taken off. The wheels are off the ground. We're flying. Now, I'm trusting that this course is all about that. I would argue that 522, 322 is the heart of the whole of your teacher education. See it as, if we did use the term, see it as the capstone subject, the central piece. What the rest is simply technique and what you need to know, tools. This is the heart. I see that on the top one, you'll see a couple of vehicles parked. I'm wondering whether they brought you here to this desolate airfield in the middle of Siberia. And you have to simply get out of the car, into the plane, learn how to fly the plane, clear the runway, and go. But you might go anywhere. Who knows where you might go? The world is your destination. So to me, I love them. I love those photos. They tell such a story, and obviously you can weave into them many, many more things. Tamara was talking about this, the bottom plane. It could take anybody, and the top one, it's all military. Yay, I get that. You're in training. The bottom one, I suspect, is probably a rich and famous person's plane, maybe carrying one family, which is quite ridiculous, but this is what happens. And it could carry everybody, anybody. So anyway, teaching is for everybody, eh? Not just for the few. Education is for everybody. Okay. I don't mind saying, I personally don't like the tiles. Can I have a show of hands, if a thumbs if you like the tile system, and a thumb down if you don't, or if you don't care. Chris doesn't like. I see those thumbs down. I see almost unite. Oh, and Nitty likes the tiles. Tamara.
They don't really faze me. I'm
okay. So 50-50. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put editing on for my purposes, which means I can just simply scroll down. So I would encourage you to make a few notes about each of the sections as we go through, and then I'll shut up and give it your turn for some questions. So the first one is the subject handout and information, important information. So the crucial thing here is the subject outline. So if there's an error on the Moodle page, what's on this subject outline is the correct bit. And please let me know in the general news forum if there's something weird and wonderful on Moodle that doesn't correspond to this subject outline, because that's the accredited document, and that's what we've got to work to. The rest is common to all Moodles. Then this introductory resource. Now, I directed you to Cortigan last week. And do I have a show of thumbs as to whether we had a look at it? Yes, I see that thumb. It's a very, how shall I say, it's not core for this subject. You don't have to think, oh man, hour and 10 minutes video. Do I have to cope with all this? No, It's out there. It's a bit on a side, on a tangent, but the whole notion of reflection and deep reflection is absolutely crucial to your journey as an educator. Because I was watching again this one here, Dylan William, reflecting on teaching practice. Only 4 minutes, so you might be able to cope with that one. One of the things he says is teaching is a great profession because you never get any good at it. You never get any good at it. You're always going to be a failure. Teachers fail every day. They do. I do. I've been at this for over 40 years and I know I'm going to fail today. Okay? It happens. But the point is, what do you do about that? And it's such an inspiring profession to, okay, that didn't work with this particular group. I'm going to talk to so-and-so and so-and-so about this. I'm going to read this and this and this. Tomorrow's a new day. Let's have a go. It can be different tomorrow. It will be different tomorrow. Yeah, let's have another go. And then you fail the next day. Okay. So Corthigan talks heaps about the whole business of reflection. So what we're doing now is I'm prattling on about preparing this subject for you. So core is absolutely the operation of reflection, deep reflection. I commend to you Etienne Wenger, these two here. He's a Swiss, French-speaking Swiss man who happens to be the same age as me. And I've got heaps of time for him because he talks about the community of practice, the community that you are being inducted into. You're becoming a teacher. You're becoming an educator. You're going to become what people might notice at a party, if you're allowed to have one. I bet they're a teacher. And something happens in your body language, in the way you speak, the way you think, the way you interact with people. You can't help but become identified as a teacher. If you're a teacher, you will become one. It's almost like you change your complexion. Something happens and you get noticed. If it hasn't happened to you yet, it will. Somebody will say, hey, are you training to be a teacher? Yeah. How did you know? Oh, well, I just knew because I can see. Tamara, I see a knowing smile. Does somebody notice that you're a teacher?
Most of the time, yeah. But also, having said that, I also tutor, so they all know that most of the people I interact with, they already know, because either I'm teaching them / tutoring them, or someone in the family's told them. So,
Yeah.
But like, you walk down the street and like, because I'm casually teaching now as well, I'll have my badge on and I'll go get lunch, or I'll stop into the shops on the way home. And they go, "Oh, are you teaching? Where are you teaching?" And I'm just sort of sitting there going, "Just a casual teacher at the moment, just by the way that I dress, just because of my name badge. Maybe also perhaps the way that I hold myself as well, because like I feel like once you dress a certain way, the way that you walk and the way that you talk is automatically different, as opposed to at the moment I'm just in bumming around the house clothes. So the way that I talk and the way that I'm sitting isn't how I would sit and how I would talk necessarily in a classroom or while
Very
I'm
good.
dressed for teaching, because it's not just a matter of you're in the classroom, you're on site. That's what people are looking at. They're also looking at you when you're out and about, especially when you're dressed as a teacher, like you're dressed for work attire.
Excellent. So you're going to become teachers. You are becoming teachers. So the introductory resource, there's no instruction you have to go through these. These are, I'll come back to that in a minute, but this is for your introductory whetting of your appetite. Now, you'll see here, Jagelman, he used to, Ian Jagelman, he used to produce a course prior to this one. And some of those documents there may be of inspiration and help to you. I'm not going to reference them. They're there for you to dip into if you so wish. This section here needs, the video resources needs an edit. At the moment, I always put the latest video at the top, so the bottom ones may well disappear soon. These date from, that was a bit silly, I'm presuming earlier this year. I will check that out, and yes, yeah, they would be, yeah, 20, yeah, my dreaming. Yeah, they're earlier this year, so I might keep those because I think it might be interesting for you to compare. So that's what that's there for. Now let's talk about assessments, but before I do that, I'll finish this tour of the Moodle page. So assessment, personal journal, minor essay, major essay, integrity and transformational leadership. Now, I've done a 27 slide PowerPoint there, which is designed to be, if you like, self-taught. So you can go through that and follow its references as you wish. You might find that the whole notion of integrity and transformational leadership is important to you in your journey to becoming teachers. It may not be crucial for you, in which case I'm not going to be the slightest offended if you never even go in here at all. It may be an aisle in the supermarket that you want to explore. It may not. That's entirely up to you. Let me remind you, the 3 stars means definitely worth a look at. 2, they're good, and etc., etc. How leaders learn. Now, again, Jenny Bickmore-Brand did a whole bunch of stuff with Ian Jagelman years and years ago. I did this one on how leaders learn, 26 slides, a few years ago, but not as old as Jenny Bickmore-Brand stuff. It's there for you to dip into if that's a particular thing you would like to. I certainly wouldn't recommend you spend long there, but it's a good resource. EDU322 is the old code for 522, and that could do with an edit. That I've hidden because it's definitely not relevant. Educational readings. Now, as it sounds, Palmer, Young, Phenomena, Van Dyke. I commend them to you, but again, they're certainly not prescriptive. Readings and resources. Now this, if there were to be a central part of this subject, this is it. Resources, and it probably needs a better title. Resources and readings. And these 2 PowerPoints, Willard and Frazee from 2005, part 1 and 2, are what I would like to spend some time on this week in terms of what we're actually going to do other than you doing your stuff. But this, I would commend to you, these 2, Willard and Frazee, and the 16 personalities will be crucial. The rest there as you wish. And I think, oh, and finally, having a dream, some links there to having a dream about your future. So before we go and have a look at the assessments on the starting with personal journal, enough of me go for it. Questions, comments, observations, thoughts? Too early in the morning?
We don't actually have that, Jim. We don't have a personal journal on ours.
Yeah, that's because we're 322 though.
Yeah.
Ours is a critical
what do you
reflection
have?
due the same. Ours is a critical reflection due the same day as our major essay. And we have the minor essay as well.
Yeah, I will go through those as well. So the minor and the major are the same, aren't they?
Yes, no. So I had a browse at it. So the minor essay we have to interview and then go into it. Whilst the major essay is more a reflection on us.
Yeah, they're the same. Yeah, exactly right. So yes, it would be worth my while for the purposes of this video doing a bit of a chat about the Bachelor one in place of the personal journal to make sure we're clear on what the differences are. Anyone else want to make any comment before we launch into these? All happy? Okay. Well, let me talk about the personal journal, the master's one first. It's worth 10%. So, and it's due right at the end. So 6th of December. A reflective journal should be kept throughout the duration of this subject. Everybody should, masters or bachelors. I highly commend it. It's a great habit to develop if you've not already done so. Please ensure you number the pages. Now it's digital, hand, it doesn't matter. And log the dates. Your journal will be an invaluable resource for your other assessments in 522 and beyond. Now, a bit of a reflection here at this point. Normally, 522, 322 is done right at the end in the last semester or the last year of your studies. Some of you are not in the last semesters or last year. I don't think that particularly matters, but as long as you're aware that it is normally done right at the end as a capstone, as a pull this thing together. So I'm encouraging you to stand way back. It is not the content is neither here nor there. The content, unlike any other subject, is so not relevant. What is relevant is your analysis of yourself and how well you know yourself and what you're putting into your life now to preserve you for the long haul. Okay? It's the training now for your journey up to the top of Everest. So there's an awful lot to be done. And it's no good skimping on this, because otherwise you'll get halfway up the mountain and then you'll run out of oxygen. And it'll be all too hard and you'll cave in. So the point is here, we're building stuff into you, not here, but in your core, in your innermost being. And, you know, whatever your faith position, to me, this whole subject is about integrating your faith journey with your career journey. And it's the only career I know about. And, you know, a doctor would be doing exactly the same. A medical doctor would be doing exactly the same. They'd be integrating their faith journey with their practice. They couldn't possibly do that role without integrating the two. They can't, oh, I'm a doctor over here, but by the way, I've got my faith over here. It'd be like schizophrenia, be like bipolar. You'd be crazy. So for these sorts of professions, teaching, there must be an integration of your innermost being and what you do on a Monday morning, because the kids are going to see what you do on Monday morning. They'll see right through you, and you can't put a mask on. And yes, you do carry yourself differently, but the fact of the matter is they see right through. And somehow or other, young people tend to be able to do that. And older people perhaps get less good at it. Quite funny, I think. So, so keep a reflective journal with the dates, with the page numbers, because that's what you're going to reference. Now, you make a selection from that journal, 1,500 words thereof for the masters, from your journal for submission. It will be assessed as a standard paper, so it needs the official cover sheet. But it is understood that it is highly personal document, and as such, it does not require the conventional use of supporting texts and references. You know, when you're writing a journal, you're not necessarily going to be doing APA referencing through your journal. You might, but you don't have to. Nevertheless, it is expected you will make some references, sort of as you copy and paste stuff from your journal, you'll make some new reflection on that reflection. Ah, yeah, that season really made me think about this paper. So make some references to key texts that have influenced you, your thinking and your perspective. So I expect you to add a couple of references in APA 7th or 6th. Say which one you're doing at the end, okay? Because this semester you can do 6th or 7th, next year 7th. So that, and then you bump that in there with the cover sheet and page numbers, etc., blah, blah, blah. Any questions about that, particularly from masters people? And then I'll go and have a quick look at the bachelor one. Yes, Missy.
Yeah, Dr. Jim, I'm a bit confused about the log the dates. Means I have to start my personal journal the time I entered into Master of Teaching, or it can be when I started actual teaching in India.
Oh,
Does
look,
it matter?
do you have a journal now?
Not like I have some rough papers which I have just jot down my journey as a teacher when I started my teaching in India, back in India.
Do
So
they have dates on?
yeah.
Good. Well, you're very welcome to use that.
Okay.
But then build on it, and there's no hard and fast. You know, if you've never picked this up before, then start today. And make a little note, you know, 3 lines on your reflection on
How are you?
what happened today. We did 522, we did 322. And a few reflections on that. And then all you would say is 12th of October 2020. And this happens to be, I mean, this is a version, page 1. The only reason I'm saying that is a good habit to get into, so that when you want to reference your journal in any assignment, not just this subject, any assignment, you can say personal journal, blah, 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 date so-and-so, page so-and-so. And then it's
Okay.
legit, okay? So it's nobody's ever going to check, and it's just for your purposes. In fact, it's for your purposes to find it. If ever you need to go back to it, oh, I wrote that. Oh, where on earth did I put that? Oh, it was that date. Oh, yeah, got it. Anyone else on this?
Yeah, Dr. Jim, Chris.
Yes.
I have maintained a professional journal regarding teaching and stuff like that, but it tends to be more of a visual journal. Like I tend to, my preference is to interpret my day and stuff into more like picture type forms and other things. Does it need to be entirely a textual type document? Like there's a bit more mind mapping and stuff like that, as opposed to sentence structure and paragraphs and things.
Go for it. You're very
It's okay.
welcome. I'll be excited to see that. But then it would be great if you had a translation for the reader. In my case, a couple of sentences underneath a mind map.
Okay. Cheers. Thank you.
Yeah. So, and I've never bothered in 10 years about the word count. The whole point of the word count is simply so that you don't go nuts and work too much. It's for you.
Sure.
If people write 2,000, 2,500, I might write a rude comment in the margin. What do you think you're doing? You're supposed to spend your time on the major. Why are you doing all this?
Yeah.
And then it's, don't forget, it's a selection. So there's no value in selecting 2,500. So just select, if you selected 2 at 500, who cares? I'm not going to be that fussed. I'm certainly not going to be upset that you've only handed in 1,000 words.
Thank you. Cheers.
Anyone else on that one? Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if this works. I'm going to go into the 322. Oh, no, you needn't have done that. So you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to the home page. You now got the Moodle home page, yes? Can you see that? Okay. I'm going to 322, and here we go. Yes, can you still see this, people? Mm-hmm. Okay. So the personal journal not assessed, so please do the journal. But for the bachelor people, you've got on the same day, 20% this time, only 1,000 words required. Make a selection of 300 words maximum from your journal. So it's the same. Capture your teaching journey. It may be an incident, it may be from a written report from your own teaching, or it may be from your diary. Demonstrate an understanding of how you've sought and applied constructive feedback from your supervisors, teachers, including any personality profile instruments. Yes, you'll be coming to that, all of you will, in the major. Make some reference to key writers who have influenced your thinking. Yes, and do APA 6th or 7th. Integrate any other journal excerpts from where appropriate, in the above. So seriously, the language is a little bit different, but the meaning is exactly the same. You get 20% for it. Masters only get 10% for it. So, but I suppose the difference here is that you've got 300 words extraction from a journal or a diary or whatever, and therefore you have more commentary on that extraction for the bachelor people.
Hey, Amber, does yours say 1,500? Because on the paper
Yep.
it says 1,500.
Yes, on the actual documentation I saw there was quite a bit of difference too. Even with mine essay, it was like on the actual Moodle page it was like, oh, 1 educator, but on the actual unit outline says 2, and the same for this critical reflection. It's actually 1,500 words, but I'm happy with 1,000. That's better.
But sorry, Tamara, you've got the subject outline there,
Yes, I do.
and it says
1,500.
sorry, folks. Thanks for that pickup. There we are. So, so any questions from bachelor people
Yes.
about this assignment? I think it's pretty unstressful. Don't forget, please don't do it until end of November, early the first week of December, it is definitely a place to reflect on your reflection at the end of this year.
So in
Don't-
terms, Jim, sorry, what's a
Yeah.
personality profile instrument? Are you talking about personality test online, like the other
Yeah,
assessments?
yeah.
Okay.
Amber, we'll come to that in the
Okay.
major. Everybody will be doing that anyway.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
It's in the links. It's got the 16 personality test.
Oh, cool.
That's
Showed
the
it
one.
before.
Okay. So moving back along. Okay, let's do this. So I'm going to go back to, sorry for giving you eyesight problems there. There's probably a better way of doing this. I don't know it yet. Here we go. So the next assignment, so recapping on that first two for both bachelor and masters, work out how you're going to perpetuate or start your journal, diary. It's not something you have to do every day, of course. It's something you do when an issue comes up to your mind, or if you are in the classroom. Again, everybody's in different positions. Some of you are and some of you are not. Some of you may be referring back to stuff years ago, Nitty, when you first started teaching. Some of you may be only referring to stuff that's happened this year. That doesn't matter. It's everybody's totally different. Okay, so the minor essay. Now, this one is the crucial thing here is, and it's something you should be thinking about today, setting up an interview with an educator. Now, I'm hoping that your mind is now thinking, who may you get to sit alongside an interview? Who in your world, what educator could you lay your hands on? If you find in a couple of weeks you've still got a blank, please get hold of me on the phone or email and say, Jim, I need some help sorting this out, because this is crucial. You've got to get this lined up. And last semester, when people were definitely or nearly everyone was in lockdown, this was entirely done with Zoom. So your educator could be anywhere in the world. That's fine. That would be highly entertaining. I would love that. And then what is an educator? Doesn't have to be a schoolie, as in primary or high school. Could be a uni lecturer. It could be a trainer in TAFE. Anything. A supervisor in a tutoring college. All sorts of people. But I would ask you to look at them. Do they have attributes about their teaching that you actually would love to learn from? In other words, think big, don't think small. Ideally, don't try and find somebody who's 1 year ahead of you. That might have benefits, I guess, but I would think probably a longer term somebody with a bit more experience would be good. Interview one educator of your choice with a religious worldview, not necessarily Christian, or from your own denomination. Now, again, if you've got issues there, talk to me about it. But basically, what I'm after here is you identifying somebody who's got a faith, and that faith has an outworking in their teaching life, with the purpose of understanding their belief and major doctrines. Now, I'll tell you this, some of the essays I've marked really have glossed over this. They've simply said, yeah, Christian, yeah, Hindu, or whatever. But they don't actually dig the question. So our student hasn't actually interviewed them to the extent of, well, can you please explain your belief? Please explain what key doctrines shape your life. So dig a bit into their faith journey. Don't just take it as read. Determine how their spiritual journey and belief system have influenced them as educators and how they are currently evidenced in their teaching. That is a crucial sentence. Determine how their spiritual journey and belief system have influenced them as educators and how they are currently evidenced. How can you see that in their teaching? Document the professional development exposure. This is, I would argue, it's in the question there. I'm not so fussed about it, but it is going to be relevant for some people more than others. Document exposure to professional development, legislative policies, higher education studies, religious seminars, informal workshops that the interviewee believes have significantly influenced their practice. Now, as I say, that sentence there may be particularly relevant to you. It may not. I don't want you to ignore it, but then don't get hung up on it. Oh, I didn't mention policy changes. Oh, I did legislative. No, don't worry too much about that. The crucial thing of this essay is that sentence. The spiritual journey and belief system that have influenced them as educators. And how do you see that? Describe your impressions, including what has impacted you from this discussion. I've had some incredible assignments, and I don't mind making a confession to you now that this particular subject brings me to tears. Not because I'm so annoyed with you, but because it is so moving that you've managed to share such life-transforming moments with me. I think, boy, I get paid for this. This is incredible. The fact that you're verbalizing your journey to the extent that you met this person, you had an interview with them, and boy, did that hit you between the eyes. I'm now going to do this, this, and this in my career as a result of this. So this interview could be absolutely crucial to your success as a teacher. I hope it will be. So noting any differences, not, you don't have to be the same as this person, but it's interesting to identify the differences, how their conversation may have influenced and shaped your own teaching practice in the future. Really exciting stuff. A transcript of the interview must be submitted with your essay as an appendix. When I say a transcript, I suggest, and I'll shut up in a minute, I suggest you get the person to agree to a recording. So you put a tape on or a phone on and record it, and then you transcribe it afterwards, preferably with one of those things where you can stop and start the tape as you type it, okay? Or if you're lucky enough to have somebody who loves to do this sort of thing, give the tape to somebody else and they'll type it up for you. That's what I want to say about the transcript is this. It doesn't have to be super long, because you don't want to have an interview that lasts 45 minutes and you've got to transcribe 45 minutes worth. That would be a bit dumb. So you've got to really focus your questions, I would say 3 or 4 really crucial questions. Make sure that the speaker can be open-ended with those questions, so that don't give you a one-word answer, which would be so silly. You've got to have open-ended questions so that they can get going and get really excited about telling you this, that, and the other, okay? So when you're doing your transcription, there'll be, you know, a phrase this long of your question, then a massive paragraph of their response. Question, 2 lines, big response. Okay, so don't ask too many questions, don't go on for too long, because you've got to transcribe this. So make it focused. Transcript of this interview must be submitted with the essay, but should not be included in the final word count. Anonymity of the interviewee will be expected and respected. So you can call them John and they are actually James. You can call them Kevin or whatever, it doesn't matter. Whatever's easier to you. Don't go right formally the interviewee all the way through, or the teacher. It's probably nicer to give them a name. And if you happen to give them their real name, who do I know? No. Do I care? No. I'm not going to meet them. So it's entirely up to you. So that's that. Questions? Oh, and this thing here, qualitative interviewing technique, it's only got 2 stars, but I do recommend it, because if you haven't done it before, you're doing it now. You're doing qualitative research. Questions? Stunned mullets, look at you.
I was just thinking, so I've got a couple of friends that are Christadelphian. When you say educator, it's a very, like, it can be a loose interpretation of educator, right?
Well, Tamara, that's interesting. You know that I was a Christadelphian once?
No.
For about 2 years in the 1970s. There you go. I've come out and confessed my past. Now, in terms of your choosing an educator, I know it's important to wrestle with the person's spiritual journey. And if you believe these people, or one of these people, is an educator that you want to emulate, you think they've got some keys and that you would love to dig into, that would be the way to go. And as I say, the fact that they're not necessarily, well, maybe they're not teaching now, maybe they did in the past, a retiree, fine, wonderful, and maybe they've even been 20 years out of teaching. But if the people you're thinking of, Tamara, are teaching in a Sunday school or something like that, then yes, they're educators. It depends whether to what degree you think they have thought through the impact of their faith on their profession or their practice.
One of my friends is a team leader. So she teaches, she's in charge, but not in charge of her workplace, if that makes sense. But it's not in a school setting. But she's still teaching people, she's still educating them. Maybe not necessarily the way that we educate children, but the education's still there. That's why I'm asking.
Again, I think I would argue, because you're casual teaching, I think, seriously, I think probably it might be better if you found somebody who was in a real schooling setting, because that's the area that you need to sharpen most. And I think you'll get most meat out of. You've got to work out who is going to give you most good meat.
Yeah.
Okay. It might be a very interesting essay, but then I might say to in the margin, I might say, yeah, but this isn't actually going to help you in your future career. So yeah, they're the wrestles. See how you go. Anyone else on? Yeah, Niti.
Yeah, Dr. Jim, regarding the transcript of the interview, because I remember in my last semester, I was having a similar assignment related to interviewing my mentor teacher. When we are interviewing, the major problem which I faced was when you are having a sort of discussion, there is no I tend to have no time limit for those, because when my mentor teacher was explaining everything, she was even giving me examples related to the questions. So it was very much difficult for me to just provide it in a compact manner or in a compact word. So that's a moment I realized that it was quite difficult for me, because it was an I had to attach an audio with it. So it was a sort of okay for me. But now in this, I have to provide transcript of the interview. So is it okay if I just give the overall idea of what the educator told me about the question, or just it had to be word to word? Because when we are having discussion, it's not a formal interview that I'm interviewing anyone. Because when we tend to discuss teaching, it just happens that there are many examples or many circumstances which really need to explain the question.
Sure.
So
A couple of comments. A good question. The point, I think the point of having the transcript is so that you get experience of doing research, and this is a formal process, which will be valuable to you in the future. That said, is anybody ever going to audit it and go back and check? No.
okay.
If you wrote a paragraph giving the sense of what the person said, the point is you've got to be as objective as you can. If you are giving a sense, you have to be objective and not color it with any comment,
Okay.
because it's got to be the raw information that the person gave you, as opposed to your reflection on it, which is the essay. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're talking to somebody who takes ever and a day to unpack the question with you, fine, you can ignore that bit, but write down the paragraph which is crucial, where they've actually nailed it.
Sure. Yeah.
Good question. Love the question. Anyone else on the minor essay?
Jim, I just want to clarify, is it 1 or 2 educators? Because on our unit outline for the bachelor, it says 2, but on our Moodle page, it says 1, just like the master's. So I just want to check if it's 1 or 2.
I will take that question on notice. That is very interesting. Minor essay interview.
Yeah, now I was like, ours is 50 words shorter than
Yeah.
the master's.
Look, I will, thanks for that. I'll try and unravel that. Anyone else? You're traveling okay? You're okay for me to keep going? Okay. So, I'm not sure what that was. The major essay. The major essay. Again, this is common to both, although the word count, the percentages will be slightly different. So the minor is due 15th of November. So, whoa, not very far away, frankly. Well, a month. You have a month for the minor. And you've got a wee bit longer than that for the major. Now, this you do right at the end of the term. Reflect on your own emotional, spiritual journey as an educator. So don't ask me, can you use the first person singular? Yes, because this is an essay about you. Reflect on your, so it's a huge essay on reflecting on your emotional and spiritual journey as an educator. With reference to the materials presented in the subject, and from outside sources, examine your character construct, personality profile and traits, and your interpersonal and communication skills. So I'll pause there. In the resources, it gives you the link to the 16 personality test, which is a free test. I highly commend that to you. You don't have to use that particular one, but I find it's pretty useful, and it's there anyway for you. So the point of this paragraph here is to reflect on your character construct, your personality profile and traits, and your interpersonal communication skills. So what do you take to the school community when you get a job there? What is it that they're employing you for? Yes, to teach year 5, yes, to teach chemistry or whatever it is, but they're doing more than that. They're hiring somebody with particular character because they believe that that character is going to be great for that community, and you're going to be able to impart great benefits to that community. So you've got to know yourself. You've got to know particularly, you know, how well you relate to others in a staff room. Are you a team player or are you a lone ranger? Are you going to drive people up the wall, or are you actually going to be a support to them? You know, what do you like at volunteering for things? What do you like at taking instruction? You know, how are you going to grow by the interaction with your colleagues? Think these things through. You're not. It's a really weird profession. Don't answer this, but are you one who would love to close the door of your classroom, or are you one to leave the door open? Are you one who relishes the opportunity of team teaching, or are you one who likes to conduct the whole thing yourself? So these are really important things to wrestle with and to know yourself. In the light of the above, reflecting on learning institutions and communities known to you, and therefore the context, consider the likely challenges faced by educators throughout their careers. Discuss their impact on other staff. So the challenges that you face, discuss how they may impact other staff, students, and students' parents. Suggest effective management and coping strategies to diminish the impact on educators of potential challenges. Although this is a reflective socio-psychological paper in the educational context, ensure to include appropriate references to the literature. So I'm going to go to the rubrics in a minute, but before I do that, I'd just like to pause a while on this question here. You see, if you get your head into this, what this essay is requiring, you will then know what you need to study. Now, am I saying we're teaching to the assignment? Yes. But I would also say you're the teacher. I'll tell you a little anecdote as on the side here. As I'm walking to the bus stop this morning, I'm reflecting on the fact that the bus now has kids in it going to school. I reflect on the fact that the building sites are busy with people. The fact that the world is getting as normal as it can. Yet Alpha Crucis is here looking at a Zoom meeting. Okay, in the past, last year, this subject was intensive and online. So those who happened to be in the vicinity of Parramatta would come, and if they were free, they would come to Parramatta for a week-long intensive, which until this year was 5 days of 9 till 5, 9 till 4:30, a pretty intense time. And now we don't have that. We have this Zoom stuff. But then I've got people in Queensland and wherever who would never have been able to come. Or maybe they could. They would have flown. I had people fly in from Melbourne and Queensland in years gone by for these things. And they would go and be resident somewhere in a hospital or something in Sydney for 5 days, 6 days. So the fact that we don't have an intensive for this subject throws a huge amount back on your shoulders to be the master of your journey. Now, as I say, I'm struggling with this. It's weird. It's neither one thing nor the other. What is Zoom teaching? I don't know, frankly. Does it have a place? Of course it does. But what is it? And in particular, what is it for this subject? You see, what we would do in our intensive for this week is we would have a spiritual retreat. And I would ignore all the questions, all the assignments for the week. And we would simply, as you will see, I will certainly start tomorrow, if not today. We will go through a transformation of our own life, a spiritual renewal, if you like. And to me, that's what I do in the intensive. So arguably, what I'll be doing these few days is I'll be kicking that off. Hopefully, enough kicking of it off so that you can then carry it on. But then, of course, if your situation precludes you from doing that, that's not the end of the world. Everybody learns in totally different ways. Of course they do. It would be crazy to think otherwise. So this assessment here is, let me just digress a second here. Reflect on your own emotional and spiritual journey as an educator. See, that phrase there is saying, where have you come from? When did the spark first happen? When did you first know you were called to be a teacher? Why? What happened? What happened? So what happens in the front end of this assignment is people are giving a bit of a bio of where they met this person, this thing happened. It became evident they were due to be a teacher. So the first part of the essay is a bit of a bio, your personal biography. The second bit is, what is your personality construct? What do you like? So you analyze yourself. That's part 2. Part 3 is, okay, what particular challenges do you think you're going to face as a teacher? What are the biggest challenges? Yeah, no, I'm going to be fine in the staff room. I just love chatting away with people. That would be great. I'll be in my element. Or I'm really worried about classroom management. That is driving me around the bend. I know I'm going to struggle with that. Man. So identify some key challenges that you think you're going to face. And then the last part, what coping strategies are you going to build into your life? So this is like a blueprint, a forward plan. I need to watch my diet. I need to watch my sleeping habits. I need to make some new friends. I need to take up some exercise. I need to get a mentor and really make it work. Whatever it is, you come up with a master plan for your future. So I'm breaking this down into 4 bits. Your journey, your character, your challenges, your action plan. Okay? And now what I'll do is I'll flip to the rubric. Are you seeing the subject outline open up? You are, thank you.
Quick question just in
Yeah.
regards to the personality profile. Are we allowed to sort of have a couple of different ones in there?
Yeah.
Just because like each personality profile is going to be written a different way and they're going to be looking for different outcomes of assessing your personality.
Yeah. Look, feel free. I would only suggest you do one because of time. But if that's particularly fascinating to you to explore, by all means do more than one. And then there'll be a crucial reflection on all of them. So if you look at this criteria for the major, the first criteria, personal reflection that references materials presented in the subject from outside sources. So that's a reflection, so your journey. Demonstrate how you will meet professional ethics responsibilities. So this is the challenge, this is the challenging bit. How can you manage your challenges? And the third criteria is integrating sustainable model of Christian education or another faith, if that's the case for you, into your philosophy of education, into your own physical philosophy of education. So you see those criteria don't neatly match the 4 state sections I highlighted, but they overarch them all. So personal reflection, meeting your challenges, and integrating your faith with your practice. And obviously this one's presenting the thing professionally with APA, etc. The minor, let's have a quick look at the minor criteria. Identifies relevant and appropriate sources and professional learning. Reflects on engagement with colleagues to improve practice. Demonstrates understanding of professional teaching networks, the broader community, Etienne Wenger. Engages with research and responsibilities to inform personal philosophy. Again, they're overarching criteria. I would ask you not to worry about specific words within them, but get the drift of each criteria. Engagement with colleagues, sources of professional learning, the community of practice, engages your personal philosophy of education with the research. So I'm going to shush. I'm out, I think. We will go tomorrow into Willard and Frazee, renovation of the heart, and you will see tomorrow's time will be very different from today. Questions, comments?
In the schools that I've been casually teaching in, a lot of the challenges that I've seen the teachers facing, it's linked to the major assignment. I'll get to the question in a minute. They've found that they get students in that have autism or ADHD or a mental, quote unquote, disability that needs extra support, but the parents won't get their kids tested. It's like they're either in complete denial or they're just not seeing it. So are we allowed to put that as one of the challenges that we're likely to face, and how we would go about dealing with that? Or is that something that perhaps maybe
Tamara, I think, thank you very much for your question. I love it, actually. Absolutely love the question. Oh man, that's so much. The thing is, to me, where you started your question to me just then, you started in the school context. The school context, yes, absolutely correct. Many school classrooms have that challenge. Many teachers have that challenge. What does the school fund? A teacher's aide, classroom support. Does my program? Can these kids access that? And why won't the parents own this?
I think a lot of the problem that teachers are facing as well is a lot of the support for the SLSOs and that sort of stuff. They require a psychological diagnosis from a professional to get the funding in to help that child. So until the parents actually take that child to get that psychological diagnosis, their hands are tied.
Yeah, it's an incredibly real issue. But I would argue, from this subject's point of view, it's don't start from the context, which is the schools. Start from you. So sit yourself in a quiet room or overlooking an ocean. What challenges are you going to face anywhere? Because you might be ending up teaching in Africa in a open air classroom. You might end up being teaching in a school in Sydney. Who knows where your journey is going to take you? And you might not find that particular problem you described, Tamara, is going to be crucial to you. What you will have a problem that you will take with you wherever you go. So what are the problems, the challenges that you're going to face because of your personality? So start with your personality, understand yourself as best you can, get other people to describe to you what your personality is. What challenges you think are you going to face in your teaching career? Okay, so I wouldn't go down that route. It's a parent responsibility thing. It's a school responsibility. It's a political responsibility. It's a huge issue, I know. There's a little bit of it, Tamara, that you could argue is you. You know, are you going to be one of these political people and say, well, unless you get the right support from me, I'm not teaching that class? Is that going to be your answer? I don't think you would probably last very long in a school if you were belligerent like that. Somehow or other, you've got to be more of a team player. And I would say what you need to do is get really chatting to the right people in the school to gain the support that you need to get this thing licked. But as I say, I wouldn't probably start there.
Okay. No, it's just something that I've seen crop up in multiple schools. Like, because casually teaching, you go to multiple schools, and it's not like it's just one area. It seems to be a common issue. So it's like, well,
yeah, it is a common issue. But the point is, this essay is about you, and you're not common. You're totally unique, and there's no one like you. So what we're trying to work out is how to build in coping strategies for you. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else?
The philosophy of education, Jim, that we have to do a bachelor for that assessment, is that the same as philosophy of teaching that we did in foundations?
Well, thanks for the question. I think so. I'm really thrilled with that word, dynamic philosophy of education, because when you write it in the first place, as soon as you've written it, it's going to change. And by now, you're into this term, and it will have morphed a little bit. There'll be things that you now, I wouldn't put that in it, and I definitely would like to put that in. So by all means, use it as a foundation, as a starting point.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we might call that a wrap, folks. Until tomorrow, same time, same place, we'll meet again. I tell you what, I'll give you a teaser for tomorrow. On page 3 of Willard and Frazee, part 1, on page 3, the question says, how do you respond to injustice? So if you'd like to have a little think about this, and I've given you 5 areas of injustice that you might like to respond to. A, the exploitation of women. Racial discrimination. These are all there on the PowerPoint. Employment discrimination. A controlling personality. And abortion. So there you go, whetting your appetite for some interesting debate. How do you respond to injustice? See you tomorrow. Bye.
okay.